Ladies and gentlemen, I should not have to tell you that members of the government are just completely inept and unable to do their job properly because, I mean, if you know anything about the government, they have no idea what they're doing half the time. But when you see stories like this, it just makes you facepalm because you realize that things like this actually happen. And this is how people spend their time when they're in office. They don't actually, solve problems. They don't actually go out and do anything productive with their time. There are people who get elected to office, and this is how they spend their time. And I don't usually get real political or anything, but this is one of those instances where I just look at something and I'm just like, what is going on? Because it just doesn't make sense. So recently a story came out and it made the news and it went kind of viral because it's just blatantly stupid. And this story basically revolves around a Vermont lawmaker introducing a bill to ban cell phones for people under 21. Now, before we go any further, I'm just going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room, the probability that this law would ever even make it into being law. The chances that this ever would even pass and become actual law are so small that it shouldn't even really even be addressed, but things like this I think need to be addressed because people should be aware of what the people that they're actually voting into office to represent them they should know what they're doing, right? Because here in the United States, these people, they get elected. Okay, these people get elected into office to make laws and vote on laws and do things on their behalf. And this is how people like John Rogers spend their time when they're in office. So, a Vermont state senator looking to make a point about cell phone use is calling for people under the age of 21 to face $1,000 fines and jail time if they're caught using the devices. Senator John Rogers, a Democrat, has introduced a bill to the state legislature that would ban cell phones for anybody under the legal drinking age. In light of the dangerous and life-threatening consequences of cell phone use by young people, it is clear that persons under 21 years of age are not developmentally mature enough to safely possess them, the bill says. Okay, so obviously this doesn't even make any sense. To anyone with any modicum of sense in their head, it doesn't even compute because there's essentially no inherent danger to owning a cell phone. I mean, what are you gonna swallow a cell phone? And choke to death on it? What can you really do with a cell phone that is dangerous? Now, I guess what they're really trying to say is that people who are younger are going to text and drive and things like that, and they're going to get in car accidents and people die and things like that. Personally, I would argue that it's not really cell phones' fault that people text and drive. And on top of that, there are other forms of distracted driving that contribute to numbers as well. So I guess that's supposed to be the logic behind this entire bill. The internet and social media accessed primarily through cell phones are used to radicalize and recruit terrorists, fascists, and other extremists, it continues, according to the Times-Argus newspaper. Cell phones have often been used by mass shooters and younger ages for research on... Okay, it was even dumber than I thought. Wow, okay. By that logic, not only should cell phones be banned, but the entire internet should be banned too, and computers and anything that can connect to the internet and all communications devices, they should all be gone, right? Because, I mean, for God's sake, they could be used to research and radicalize people. God forbid something like that happen, right? We don't want anyone to deal with any kind of danger in the world like that. We can't have that. It doesn't even make sense. They're trying to prove this big point about this, right? They're trying to make a statement, essentially. That's what I gather from all this. They're trying to make a statement, and they can't even make a statement properly because it doesn't even fucking make sense. It would be one thing if they actually had a legitimate point about this, and they actually had something to say, but they don't. And it's not even younger people who commit these kinds of crimes. If you think about it, if that's the case, then everybody should be banned from using the internet because everyone would have the potential to, come across bad things. What kind of sense is none of it makes sense. There's nothing behind it, okay? So, the bill says that such a ban would be justified because, quote, the General Assembly has concluded that persons under 21 years of age are not mature enough to possess firearms, smoke cigarettes, or consume alcohol, according to WPTZ, which none of those things have anything to do with cell phones, and all of those things are way more dangerous than possessing a cell phone. I mean, you possess a firearm, whatever you want to say, it's more dangerous than holding a cell phone. Smoking cigarettes is... I shouldn't even have to explain this. Oh my god. And I don't even understand why you have to be 21 to do any of these things anyway, in a lot of different places, because when you turn 18 in the United States, you're expected to sign up for the draft, You know, you got to be able to sign up for selective service, so if the military calls on you to, you know, be in the draft if there's a war or something, you know, you have to serve if they call on you. Or you can sign up for the military voluntarily at 18. You're expected to pay your taxes. You can get a loan and go into all this debt for college. You're expected to be able to make all these kinds of just life-altering changes, right? But you're not mature enough to own a fucking cell phone. You're not mature enough to smoke cigarettes. You're not mature enough to consume alcohol. It doesn't even make sense. It's such a big double standard to where you can make all these major life changes that can, you know, kill you. You can literally sign up to go to war. You can sign up to put yourself $100,000 in debt and completely demolish your life. But hey, you can't smoke cigarettes. Hey, you shouldn't be allowed to own a cell phone because we're trying to prove a point. Like, doesn't even make sense. But anyone who breaks the cell phone ban, if passed, would face up to a year in prison and or a $1,000 fine. Imagine being a grown adult. You know, being 18, 19, 20 years old, possessing a cell phone in the freest country on earth. Here in the United States, the freest country, right? That's supposed to be the free country in the state of Vermont, right? And just having a cell phone, you face up to a year in prison or a $1,000 fine. Am I the only one who hears that and just thinks that that's fucking psychotic? Well, no, actually, I'm not, because the person who made the law even thinks that this is completely stupid, because he suggests that he's merely trying to make a point about cell phone use and doesn't expect the measure to pass. Quote, "I have no delusions that it's gonna pass," he told the Times-Argus. "I probably wouldn't vote for it myself." Well, then why would you ever fucking introduce it? If you would not vote for whatever you're introducing, why even introduce it? Oh, I'm trying to make a point. Congratulations, you've made perhaps the most ignorant point I have ever seen in my life. The people who voted for you to be in office...
Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Because this is absolutely bewildering that anyone would ever even attempt to equate having a cell phone to some of the things that you even try, like smoking cigarettes. Where the science is like, it's not even debatable. You know what I'm saying? You are putting yourself at a risk for cancers and other illnesses and diseases. It's just, you are. By having a cell phone, you are not inherently putting yourself at a risk to become radicalized by the internet or, you know, to text and drive. Plenty of people do actually drive their car and have a cell phone on their person, and we're not actually ever, you know, having to pick the phone up and text anyone back. It is the case. I personally don't have a problem with getting in my car and putting the phone down for the entirety of the drive. It's really not that big of a deal. I'm not so addicted to my phone that, like, it can't leave my hands. I get that some people are addicted to their phones and they have to text constantly and everything, but even with that being the case, it doesn't make your point valid. Now, you might be wondering, what does this man look like? What could someone who thinks that people under the age of 21 who own a cell phone should go to jail? What does that person look like? Well, here's your answer, okay? He might not necessarily look like what you thought. This person might be the ultimate boomer in his mind, but I gotta say, I really do like the haircut. I mean, the haircut, the mustache, it's all coming together. He's looking pretty good, man, I gotta say. This is the ultimate boomer, folks. Senator John Rogers. I think we're done here. I don't think we need an outro. I'll see you guys in the next one.